November 1986, Hamburg office, Modern Talking's management headquarters. Every day brought fan mail, hundreds of letters from across Europe, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, France, Spain, Netherlands, everywhere the music reached. The manager had a system: sort, categorize, respond where appropriate. Most letters were standard: I love your music, you're amazing, please come to my city. Simple enthusiasm, pure appreciation. Easy to handle, some letters were requests: can I meet you? Will you sign this? Please send a photo. Manageable, template responses existed. A few letters were concerning, too intense, too personal, too obsessive. I dream about you every night. We're meant to be together. I know you feel our connection. Those went in a separate pile. Monitored, not answered. Boundaries maintained. Then there was this letter, November 18, 1986, Tuesday morning. The manager opened it. Regular envelope, German postmark, handwritten address, no return address. Inside, 3 pages, handwritten, neat script, and a photograph. The manager read the first page, paused, read it again, looked at the photograph, stopped breathing for a moment. This was different. This was beyond the usual intensity. This was dangerous, the letter began. Dear Modern Talking, you saved my life. I need you to know that. Your music is the only thing that keeps me alive. When I hear your voices, I feel like I can breathe, like I can survive another day, like maybe life is worth living. You are my reason, my purpose, my everything. Standard opening, intense but not unusual. Many fans felt deep connection to the music. That was normal, expected. The second paragraph shifted. But lately the music isn't enough. I need more. I need to see you, to meet you, to have you know I exist, to have you acknowledge me. Without that, I don't know how much longer I can hold on. The darkness is coming back. The thoughts are returning. Your music pushes them away, but only temporarily. I need something permanent. I need you. Warning signs, clear distress, mental health crisis visible in the words. The manager's concern grew. The third paragraph was explicit. I've hurt myself before, many times. I've attached a photograph so you understand how serious this is. So you know I'm not joking. So you know that without your help, without your response, I might not be able to stop myself. Next time, please respond. Please acknowledge this. Please save me again. You're the only ones who can. The photograph showed scars, evidence of self-harm, not recent, healed marks, but present, visible, proof of previous crisis. The message was clear: this person was in danger, was using Modern Talking as a lifeline, and was threatening that the lifeline was failing. The manager sat with this. Decision time: what to do, ignore it, risk escalation, respond. Risk encouragement, contact authorities. Without knowing who sent it, the letter had no return address, no name clearly stated, just signed, your eternal fan who needs you. Impossible to trace, impossible to help directly, but also impossible to ignore. The manager decided, show Dieter and Thomas, let them decide. This went beyond management. This was about them, about their music's impact, about their responsibility, if any, for this person's well-being. The manager called them. I need you both to come in. There's a letter you need to see. Can it wait? We're in the studio. No, it can't wait. This is serious. They came separately. Thomas first, arriving curious, concerned by the urgent tone. Dieter 20 minutes later, annoyed at the interruption. The manager had the letter on the desk, the photograph face down. Before I show you this, I need to warn you. It's disturbing. It's a fan letter, but it's unlike anything we've received before. Thomas sat forward. Show me. The manager handed him the letter. Thomas read, slowly, expression changing, concern growing. He reached the third paragraph. Stopped. There's a photograph. The manager flipped it over. Thomas looked away, looked back, processing. This person is in crisis. Yes, they're asking for help. In a way, they're asking for you, specifically, for Modern Talking. We need to help them. How? There's no return address, no way to contact them. Thomas looked at the letter again. They said they're in Germany. The postmark is Munich. Can we? I don't know. Release a statement, a message, something they'd see. Saying what? That we care, that help exists, that they should reach out to professionals, that their life matters. The manager nodded, considered. We can do that, but I wanted Dieter's input first. Dieter arrived. What's so urgent? The manager explained, showed the letter. Dieter read, no visible reaction, looked at the photograph, brief glance, put it down, and Thomas stared at him. And that's your reaction? This person is suffering. This person is using emotional manipulation to get our attention. They're in crisis. They showed us evidence of self-harm. They showed us old scars. Could be from anything. Could be years old. Could be someone else's photo. you think they're lying. I think desperate people say desperate things to get what they want, and what this person wants is us, our attention, our acknowledgement, our presence in their life, and that's bad. It's unhealthy, it's obsessive, it's exactly the kind of boundary violation we should not encourage. Thomas couldn't believe what he was hearing. A person is telling us they might hurt themselves, and your response is to call it manipulation. Dieter sat back, clinical mode. Thomas, we are musicians. We make music. People listen. Some people connect deeply. Some people form attachments. That's normal, expected. But we are not therapists. We are not mental health professionals. We are not responsible for every person who claims our music is keeping them alive. But if our music is keeping them alive, then that's beautiful and tragic and also not sustainable, because we're not gods, we're not saviors, we're two people who write and perform pop songs. If someone's entire will to live depends on us, that's a mental health crisis that requires professional intervention, not a fan letter response. So your answer is to ignore this, my answer is to not engage. Emotional blackmail, because that's what this is. Respond or I might hurt myself is blackmail, gentle blackmail, sympathetic blackmail, but blackmail nonetheless. That's a cold way to see someone in pain. It's a realistic way to see a situation we cannot fix and should not enable. Thomas looked at the manager. You agree with him? The manager hesitated. I see both perspectives. Thomas, your compassion is admirable. This person is clearly suffering. But Dieter's right that we're not equipped to help them, and responding might create more problems than it solves. What problems? Dieter answered. The problem where we become their emotional support system, where they send more letters, more demands, more threats, where they show up at venues, at hotels, at our homes, where I need you becomes I deserve you becomes you owe me becomes dangerous obsession. You're catastrophizing. I'm being realistic about parasocial relationships, about fans who believe they have real connections with artists, about the danger of encouraging that belief. So we do nothing. We let this person suffer alone. We let this person find appropriate help. We're not appropriate help. The argument continued, Thomas insisting compassion required response. Dieter insisting boundaries required distance. The manager mediating, trying to find middle ground, finally a compromise, not a statement mentioning the letter, that would be too direct, too specific, but a general message in an upcoming interview or at a show, something about mental health, about reaching out, about professional resources, something this person might see, might hear, might interpret as meant for them, without directly engaging, without creating dangerous precedent. The interview happened 2 weeks later, German television, talk show, like questions mostly. Then Thomas, carefully, deliberately, we've been thinking a lot about our fans lately, about how music affects people, about the connections people form, and we want to say, if you're struggling, if you're in pain, if you're having dark thoughts, there are people who can help. Professional people, therapists, counselors, crisis hotlines, your life matters more than you might think, more than any song. Please reach out, please get help, you're worth it. Dieter sat beside him, didn't contradict, didn't add, just nodded. Agreement without enthusiasm. The message was sent, whether it reached the intended recipient, they'd never know. The letter writer never sent another letter, at least not when the manager showed them. Maybe they got help, maybe they moved on, maybe they watched that interview and felt acknowledged, felt seen, felt like their message had been received, or maybe something worse happened. They'd never know. That uncertainty haunted Thomas. Weeks later, he raised it again. Do you think they saw it, the interview? I don't know, the manager said. Do you think it helped? I hope so, but we don't know. We'll never know. That bothered Thomas more than he could articulate. The not knowing, the uncertainty, the possibility that his compassion or Dieter's boundaries had been the wrong choice. Dieter seemed untroubled. We did what we could without crossing into territory we shouldn't enter. That's appropriate. That's professional. That's healthy. Does it feel healthy? It feels realistic. We can't save everyone, Thomas. We can't be everything to everyone. Accepting that is part of managing fame. I didn't sign up to have someone's life depend on me. None of us did, but here we are, and the answer isn't to take responsibility for things we can't control. The answer is to be clear about our limits. Thomas understood the logic. Hated it, but understood it. The letter changed something for him, made him see fame differently, not just as success, as weight, as responsibility, whether wanted or not, as dangerous territory where his voice, his image, his music could mean life or death to someone he'd never met. That was terrifying. Months passed, more fan mail, more Intensity, more obsessive letters, none quite like that first one, but enough to establish pattern, enough to prove Dieter's point about boundaries, enough to make Thomas question his compassion. One letter, I tattooed your lyrics on my arm, now I carry you always. Another, I named my daughter after your song, she's your legacy. Another, I quit my job to follow your tour, you're my life now. Each one pushing further, each one demanding more. Each one treating modern talking not as artists but as essential life components, and Thomas felt the weight, the impossibility of living up to that, the danger of disappointing people who'd invested so much emotional energy. Dieter's response was consistent: ignore, maintain boundaries, don't engage, let the music be the music, don't let it become therapy, don't let fans become dependents. Professional distance protects everyone. Thomas's response was conflicted: want to help, want to acknowledge, want to honor the connection, but also recognize the danger, recognize the impossibility, recognize that Dieter might be right. The compromise they reached: general positivity, messages about hope, about finding help, about valuing yourself, never specific, never personal, never encouraging the belief that they were available, that they were accessible, that they were anything more than musicians. Years later, during the 1998 reunion planning, Thomas brought it up. Remember the letter, November 1986, the one with the photograph? Vaguely, Dieter said, you called it emotional blackmail. Did I? You did. You said we weren't responsible, that we shouldn't engage. Remember the sentiment, not sure about the exact words. You were right, mostly, about boundaries, about not being therapists, about the danger of encouraging obsession. But it still bothers me that we didn't know, that we couldn't help, that someone reached out and we what? We didn't respond. We gave a general interview statement. We hoped they saw it. We hoped it helped. We never knew. And that's the reality of fame. Thousands of people connect with your music, some deeply, some desperately. You can't personally manage each one. You can't know each outcome. You can only be clear about boundaries and hope people find appropriate help. I know, intellectually I know, but emotionally it feels inadequate, feels cruel, feels like we should do more. I understand, I felt it too at the time, but acting on that feeling would have made things worse, would have encouraged more letters like that, would have established us as emotional rescuers for people we couldn't actually rescue. How do you live with that, with the not knowing? By accepting that I'm human, with limits, with boundaries, with a specific role in people's lives, making music, and no responsibility beyond that. It's not cold, it's realistic. Thomas considered, during the reunion, if we get letters like that, and we probably will, how do we handle it? Same way, general messages of support, encouragement to seek professional help, clear boundaries about what we are and aren't, compassion without engagement, care without enabling. That feels inadequate. It is inadequate, but it's all we're musicians, Thomas, not therapists, not social workers, not emergency responders. We make music, people connect with it, sometimes dangerously. We can be generally supportive, we can't be specifically responsible. The reunion followed that policy. Letters came, some intense, some concerning. All were handled with the same approach: general support, professional referrals, maintained boundaries, no direct engagement, no personal responses. No feeding of obsessive patterns. Was it enough? Thomas never knew. Did people get help? Did messages reach those who needed them? Did boundaries protect everyone or just protect modern talking? The uncertainty remained. The November 1986 letter became emblematic, not of a single person's crisis, but of fame's impossible mathematics, where your voice reaches millions, where some of those millions form unhealthy attachments, where your success means you matter deeply to people you'll never know, where that mattering can become dangerous, and where there's no good answer, only trade-offs. Compassion risks enabling, boundaries risk cruelty, engagement risks escalation, distance risks abandonment. Every choice has costs, every response creates consequences, and you never know which choice was right, you only know you had to choose. November 1986 taught Thomas that fame isn't just success, it's responsibility without control. It's mattering to people in ways you can't manage. It's being blamed for helping too much or too little. It's living with uncertainty about whether your choices helped or hurt. The letter writer remained unknown. Their outcome remained unknown. Whether they found help remained unknown. Whether the interview message reached them remained unknown. Thomas lived with that not knowing for decades, wondering, hoping, fearing. Dieter seemed to live with it easier, accepted it faster. made peace with limits quicker, different personalities, different moral compasses, same impossible situation. That was the real lesson, not whether Thomas or Dieter was right, but that both were, and both were wrong. Because the situation had no right answer, only responses with different costs, and living with those costs was part of fame, part of success, part of having your voice matter to people in ways you never intended. The letter arrived November 18, 1986. It changed how Thomas saw fame, changed how he understood his responsibility, changed how he lived with uncertainty. Music reached millions, helped many, harmed some. The mathematics of fame, where you can't know everyone you affect, can't control how they're affected, can't fix what breaks, can only be clear about what you are and hope that's enough, and live with knowing it might not be. That was November 1986, the letter that made fame feel less like achievement and more like burden, less like success and more like danger, less like joy and more like impossible responsibility. They never spoke about it publicly, never mentioned it in interviews, never acknowledged it beyond that one general message, but privately it remained: Thomas's uncertainty, Dieter's boundaries, the compromise between compassion and limits, the question that had no answer: what do you owe people whose lives depend on your music? Thomas thought. Everything we can reasonably give. Dieter thought nothing beyond the music itself, both right, both wrong, both living with choices that might have saved someone or might have failed them, and never knowing which.